Hey everyone, welcome back to the range. My name is Matt. Don't let all this snow fool you. It's actually March 12th. Yesterday, it was like 45 degrees and sunny. I did the brakes on my wife's car yesterday, so today we're coming out shooting. But we've got an ammunition review today. It's like 30 to 35 degrees outside. And my favorite caliber, 5.7x28mm, wouldn't be the king of 5.7 if I didn't try to review everything that came out with related to 5.7. For the longest time, there really wasn't a whole lot of stuff, and then within the last couple of years, there's been a plethora of new offerings. Speaking of which, if any online retailer or vendor is listening and they want to donate or work out a deal to get my hands on the new Smith & Wesson M&P 5.7, send me a contact and we'll see what we can work out. Anyways, our flavor of choice today is a 40 grain VMAX from AAC, or America's Ammunition Company, not to be confused with AAC, the silencer company, both of which are owned by the holding company that owns Palmetto State Armory. Currently, you only find this on PSA's website. In full transparency, AAC sent me this lot of ammunition to test with no strings attached. This is actually the second lot that they sent me. They originally released some of this about a month and a half or 2 months ago, and then I provided some feedbacks and potential tweaks, and they've made some of those. So we're going to see how this stacks up today. Let's throw this guy on the table and talk about what we're going to do today. Up until this offering from AAC, the only provider of brass in 5.7x28mm was from FN. Currently, all U.S. available ammunition from American Eagle TMJ SS-197 and our Spirit Gold Dot and Fiocchi's High Performance line and Range Dynamics loads are all FN brass, and it is all loaded by Fiocchi USA. AAC is producing their own brass. They have their own proprietary case coating called Saber Slick, because all of your FN cases need to be coated in blowback guns because it allows our shoulder to bump forward versus stretching the entire case out and potentially ripping the neck off in your chamber. Since we have a ton of 5.7 guns, we're trying to just do a basic reliability test. We're going to run a lot of ammunition through all those guns and collect the velocity on them and see how they jump, see how it compares to our SS-197 and our American Eagle TMJ out here today as well. So in my quest for gathering data on our new AAC 5.7x28mm ammunition, they have their Saber Slick coating on here, which is supposed to mimic the FN coating. What I've done for about 15 hours is I've soaked some of these cases in some carburetor cleaner to see how well the coating will last. It looks like this stuff kind of rubs off a little bit, but largely remains intact. Whereas this case right here is a brand new FN case, and you can actually start getting the coating to come off there by rubbing your fingernail against it. You can maybe hard to see there, but the coating is definitely coming off the brass there. Up first, we'll start with our shortest barrel length. This is our Palmetto State Armory PSA 5.7 Rock. This has a 4.7-inch barrel. This is the shortest barrel available so far. They have teased at a compact offering, but it is not yet available. All these magazines of mine are getting covered in water from being out here in the snow. Got cycling and lock back, that's not bad. We did run a control lot of American Eagle and SS-197 alongside this one we got out here today to add as a control. I do want to mention that The VMAX and FMJ are the first two offerings from AAC. They plan to offer a few more different bullet projectile types in the coming future. I think they're looking at doing a self-defense load. I don't think they have that nailed down yet. Now we'll step up to our threaded barrel. We have our FN 5.7 Mark II with the Doran Technologies FN Specialties DT Chaos slide cover. Got an EFK 5.2-inch barrel in there. Trijicon RMR up top, got Elite Ammunition's flat face trigger and their accurizing job done on this one. I think the only thing I didn't like when I got it back was that the return was a little soft on there, so I swapped back a factory return spring in there and I got a better reset. Also has their tritium night sights in here as well. Now onto our longest factory threaded barrel that we have is our Ruger 5.7. This has a 5.5-inch threaded barrel. EFK at one time sold 6- and 7-inch barrels through Elite Ammunition, but I haven't seen those available in a long time. This has our tandem cross trigger in it, has the F5 Specialties extended slide stop, which is a very needed upgrade over the factory slide stop. They did sell a magazine release, but the sample that I got didn't fit very well, and I've been unable to contact them to get a replacement. They do sell a +5 magazine extension as well. Now we're getting into our PDW barrels. This is our CMMG MK57. This is an 8-inch barrel. Got a primary arms, second focal plane, 1-6 up top. Yankee Hill single port QD muzzle brake up front. This particular model from CMMG uses their proprietary magazines that fit in any standard AR-15 lower. To make YouTube happy, we won't tell you how many it holds, but you can guess. And now to the OG that started it all, Mr. Bullpup. This is our FN P90. This has a 10.4-inch barrel. I forgot to mention the Kel-Tec has a 9.6. We've got a Design Machine low pro mount up here and a primary arms 1X Cyclops. I really love this optic on this gun. It's an etched reticle, so if you have any astigmatism issues with red dots, the etched reticle really goes a long way for better visibility of your reticle. It's a very good field of view, has illumination, very, very good. Speaking of which, I do have some parts from HBI coming to try some Holosuns up top here. My hands are getting cold. They don't worky so well. If I actually another newcomer for the channel, this is from AR-57. This is their ULT AR-57 upper. It again uses our FN P90 magazines of varying capacities up to a pretty hefty number. It actually sits up top like this. This is the 12-inch model. They have a 16 that we'll check here in a second. It has a charging handle on the side, spits brass out the bottom. This up here is the magazine release. Have a Maximum Defense PDW pistol brace on here for now. And our final 16-inch for review is our Ruger LC carbine. I just picked this up not too long ago. It's a very nice little PCC. I like the folding stock in the back here. I think it's a little hefty for 5.7. It does have a lot of aluminum components on it. It's got a 2-piece bolt. The barrel's spiral fluted. It is 5.7x28, so you can mount a suppressor on there. The trigger and fire control group is pretty much the same as the 5.7 pistol from them. We do have a little nice push down magazine release that I wish was ambidextrous because it works very well. The bolt release, I think, or the slide release is a little more protruded, but I think they could have worked on putting that somewhere else in this PCC format. The charging handle can be swapped from side to side. Here is our AAC 40 grain VMAX at 25 yards on the same day we did our velocity testing using the R.A.N.G.E MK 5.7 with the 8-inch barrel. We weren't in our lead sled, we were just shooting from a bag with the 6-power primary arms second focal plane scope with a dead battery. Our best group was 0.669 inches, that's 5 shots. Our worst group was 1.004 inches, pardon the dog for drinking, and a pretty good group over here at 0.870 inches. It looks like our groups opened up just a little bit from that increase in velocity, but otherwise a pretty darn accurate loading. While we have some fresh gel blocks, I have a 10% clear ballistics gel block 6x6x16 down there in front of the chronograph. We'll take 2 shots out of the 5.2 inch rock, the P90, and then the Ruger LC. That was way too high, I think. Nice. For our 5.7 rock, we've got quite a long neck before we see any terminal effect, right around 4 inches. Here's the side picture. Our tip dumps in the 5 to 6 inches. We have an actual set of 2 wound tracks on the first one. At 10-inch mark is our jacket, not sure why it's not focusing, and all the way out to the 13-inch is our core. Now that's a lot better than what we've seen in the past from SS197, mainly because we're getting the velocity up and we're getting this bullet to actually have some terminal effect. Right around the 13.5-inch mark is our second shot there. We don't have a bonded core, so that's why that bullet separated in the first one, but it stayed together in the second one. That, in my opinion, for a fragmenting or expanding round in a 5.7 would be ideal. We could use some more penetration. I'd like to see 16 inches because if you introduce any barriers, that could drop off. But our wound channel looks pretty good for that kind of velocity projectile. Not going to complain about that. And now we'll take 2 shots from our PDW style barrel. This is the 10.4-inch P90. Didn't get a velocity reading off that, but it's because I was off to the side. Did off that one. Nice. Our bottom two wound tracks are the 10.4 inch. Our neck is a little bit shorter, around the 3-inch mark before we have any effect. This particular one, you can see the dumping of our little polymer tip there. This one actually trends downwards. That was the first shot. Right around 13 inches, we got expansion. Like in this particular VMAX or whatever particular projectile it is, the second shot made it to right around 14 1/4. We'll get these out of here, get some macros on them. But again, this is why velocity is important in some of these 5.7 loads, because these bullets are designed for 224, 5.56, 223 Remington. So normally this is more of a varmint bullet that's designed to fragment apart, and then at range is when you're going to get this expansion. So if this were a bonded bullet, it'd be a lot better. Again, if we introduce any barriers into the mix, these penetration numbers could go a lot shallower. And finally, we'll take a shot from the 16-inch. Much more impressive. Look at how short that neck is, about 1 inch. A lot more disruption going on up to about the 6-inch mark. Calms down, and our penetration tops out right at about 12 1/4. I'm not sure why the camera doesn't want to focus very well today, but it's not. The bullet is actually butt facing us, so it's somewhat started to move on its path, but it's still traversing straight. That's my major complaint with SS198 LF, is it likes to track to the left or right, up or down, and it doesn't keep a straight track. Right around the 13-inch mark is the other 16-inch. I would say again, with this increase in velocity, this particular bullet design from AAC is giving us terminal effect. I would feel more confident about carrying this particular bullet at this increased velocity with those good expansions that we're seeing here. We'll get some measurements on these, but these were from the pistol, our PDW, and 16-inch. Very, very good expansion. This is kind of like what we saw in the original Gold Dot before they redesigned it to a 4-pedal design. Good penetration depths, at least in clear gel. Organic gel may vary. I wanted to cover whether or not you could resize AAC's brass after being fired. I have our Lyman dies, which I love because they usually don't interfere with any of the factory case coating. I have some of the Lee resizing lubricant on these cases. I clean them in simple green. Don't tumble them or use any abrasive media. Looks like it's sized okay. We'll do the other ones. After resizing and cleaning, we want to make sure our cases are sized accordingly. We've got our Sheridan Engineering case gauge here. That piece fits in there very nicely. That one as well. One of these, the rim was a little high on that. You can see just a little bit. But the shoulder looks good. It'll probably fire without an issue. So those can be resized. Depending on when you pick this up, you'll definitely want to make sure that you check the case capacity compared to your known samples. Well, everyone, I knew this was going to be a long video. Can you guess what day I recorded the closer on based on the color of my shirt? Did I really need to shoot 11 different barrel lengths for our 5.7 testing? You're darn right I did. I actually put all the duplicate barrel length chrono data at the end of our video, so I appreciate all the long haulers that watch until the very end. We have a few things going on here, and I think AAC has a winner. They spun up this 5.7 line with no involvement from FN. This is 100% American source. The brass is not from FN. This is AAC's own brass. To my understanding, FN collects some kind of royalty if they have any involvement in setting up your ammunition line. From a pure velocity standpoint only, we were over 150 feet per second on average faster than the American Eagle TMJ, and we're cheaper. We're on average 35 to 60 feet per second faster than SS197, and again, a cheaper offering. We ran a total of 300 rounds of this revised lot, as well as 350 rounds of an original lot for all of our testing. Throughout that entire 650 rounds, I only had one single hard primer that for whatever reason in any of our guns would not ignite. We didn't have any failures with the brass from split necks, split cases, ripped rims, or any other failures related to our brass. To be as transparent as possible, the original lot was just as reliable. However, the velocity was very conservative, pretty much almost American Eagle TMJ, if not a little bit slower. I collected all that data and provided it to AAC, and the tweaks that they have done are visible in this current revision. I measured the original case capacity at 11 grains of water. We are now at 12 grains, which very closely matches the original FN case. That means for those that are reloading, your charge capacity will need little, if any, tweaking. The original lot had a large burr on the case neck, typically where the brass would be crimped. A heavy case crimp was evident by the deformation of the VMAX bullet. The revised lot had little to no burr and much less heavy crimp. We experienced no bullet setback with any of our firearms during usage. Our original Saber Slick coating was over applied. It was all over my hands, all over the inside of the box, very, very greasy like. This revised lot is a lot cleaner, but I feel there should be an additional cleaning process to make it a little less messy. Our original lot actually had issues with some of the primers starting to walk out. They didn't completely walk out when we noted firing from our P90. This revised lot had zero walking of any primers. Our cases have very normal shoulder movement in all of our guns, very identical to our factory FN brass. Now, here comes the caveat. We noticed heavily dented and odd finished primers on the brass that we picked up from our Kel-Tec P50. This gun, from what I know from my review, is a straight blowback and seems limited on the loads that it can handle. I would be very cautious with loads in the P50 over commercial factory 40 grain offerings from American Eagle TMJ, the Spirit Gold Dot, or SS197. When it comes to our gel testing, this small bump in velocity actually helped our 40 grain VMAX to expand out. Now, granted, our penetration depths were very close to the 12-inch bare minimum that the FBI recommends, and this was done in clear gel, so your results in organic or live tissue may vary. But I feel that this expansion and penetration depths of this particular load outperformed the factory SS197 using the same bullet, mainly because the velocity was greater. Our accuracy was very much on par with what we've tested. Our original lot had very tight groups, but again, that velocity was a lot lower. The guys over at AAC tell me they're not done. Their 40 grain full metal jacket target plinking load is next. I do believe they may be working on a subsonic load for those of us that like to shoot and be very, very quiet. With all that being said, it's time for me to get the heck out of here, but at the end of all my videos, I take a moment to thank all those who help make these possible, because there's a lot that goes into these that a lot of people don't see. Like I said, I spent 2 range outings and a whole bunch of editing time to make this video. Number 1 is my Patreon and Subscribe Star fans. I have a link tree in the description below with various different ways to contact me and or support me. If you want to pick up some of this AAC brass, I have an affiliate link through Palmetto State Armory. I can't put that in my link tree because YouTube gets pissed about it. But if you want to send me a DM, I'll generate you a link, and that earns me a small sales commission. It costs you nothing, as a way of saying thank you for putting this video together. Number 2 is my family, my son and wife, who spent those 2 outings out in the cold with me to get this video done for you all. Number 3 is Jamin over at AAC, who in full transparency provided this AAC ammunition for me to test with no strings attached. And of course, number 4 is you all for watching. Until next time, I'll catch you at the range, and happy St. Patrick's Day. And now our OG that started it all, our FN57 USG. This has a 4.75 inch barrel. This has our Eden Perfection flat face trigger kit in it. It was accurized by Elite Ammunition at one point in the past. Make sure I grab the right magazine. Quite a few different magazines on the table today. Not too shabby there. Getting lock back. Again, small sample size. I'll try to get more of this from them from time to time so we can, you know, extrapolate our reliability tests, because, you know, I've done a lot of 5.7 reviews over the last 3 years, and I've put, I think, 7,000 plus rounds of 5.7, and a majority of that has been American Eagle TMJ, SS197, and a lot of our specialty ammo. Now we're back to our PSA rock. This is the 5.2 inch threaded model, has 1/2 by 28 threads. It is cut for an optic up top. Got the XS Arms magazine extension on here that we've been doing a reliability test on, so to speak. And now on to the oddball among our 5.7 offerings. This is from Diamondback. This is their DBX 5.7. This is one of the only gas-driven 5.7 guns that are currently offered. It has a dual set of pistons up front. From my experience so far, this gun doesn't rely on the case coating so much, mainly because of the gas. Fired cases that come out of this, unless they're really hot reloads, almost can slip through our resizing die without any trouble or any lube. Very, very nice if you're looking to reload. The only thing I don't like about this is the magazine well on my particular model is oversized for our Pro mags, and if you run any of the FN mags, it tends to cause the gun to jam. I wish Diamondback would offer this with the PSA magazine well. Nice, got lock back. Very, very good so far. I will say that one of the big advantages to the Diamondback DBX is its thickness. It's under 1 inch thick and only 3 pounds. I did a review on this on the AR15.com YouTube channel a while back if you want to go check that out. On to our Space Gat. This is from Keltec. This is the top loading P50. It uses our FN P90 magazines. Various capacities, again, because of YouTube, I won't tell you how many it loads, but it's quite a lot. This one isn't too bad either at about 3 pounds. It is a lot thicker than the Diamondback. Now into our 16-inch AR-5.7. Again, uses our FN P90 magazines. Everything else is pretty much the same as a 12-inch charging handle, magazine release. I did forget to mention that the AR-5.7s use a specific weight buffer. I'll have to measure them and annotate what that is. But this particular generation seems to be the best as far as function goes. I know some of the Gen 1 and Gen 2s had issues chewing up the brass, and for the most part, our brass has pretty normal shoulder movement on it so far. I actually got this 16-inch on loan from a member from AR15.com, mainly to test the AAC brass. Once we've done the testing, we probably should return it to him. Nice. Also, if I forgot to mention, on our AR-5.7, it actually ejects the spent case out of the bottom of the magazine, and I took a 30-round PMag and I cut the top off of it, hollowed it out. You can actually hold around 70 empty cartridges in the 30 round.